The wind howled through the bare branches as 17-year-old Mason trudged home from school, his hoodie pulled tight against the chill. It had been a rough day. He'd failed a math test, argued with his mom, and his friends had ditched him for a movie night he wasn't invited to. His sneakers crunched against the frostbitten sidewalk when something out of the ordinary caught his eye, an old woman, sitting alone on her front porch, wrapped in a thick shawl, her eyes fixed on the empty street like she was waiting for something, or someone. Mason had passed her house every day for years but had never paid much attention. Her name was Mrs. Winslow, and she was the neighborhood ghost, always there, always alone, her yard overgrown, her windows dim. People said she was weird, a hoarder maybe, someone who had lost her mind after her husband died. But that day, something in her eyes, lonely, glassy, but searching, stirred something inside him. "Cold day, huh?" Mason called out, not even sure why. She looked startled at first but then smiled, a smile so warm it contrasted the icy air. "Yes, it is. Thank you for saying hello." That small exchange planted a seed. The next day, Mason stopped again. This time he handed her a thermos of hot cocoa. Her smile reached her eyes. Their conversations began short, mostly about the weather or the birds that gathered in her yard. But over weeks, they grew deeper. Mason learned that Mrs. Winslow, whose name was Eleanor, had been a pianist, once filling concert halls with music. Her husband had passed away a decade ago, and her only daughter lived across the country, too busy to visit. Her home, once full of laughter and life, had turned silent and gray. Mason, in turn, told her about his dad leaving, about how he never felt enough for his mom or teachers, how the world often felt too loud and too empty at once. Eleanor listened, not with judgment or lectures, but with understanding. In time, Mason began visiting after school, raking her leaves, fixing broken shutters, bringing books they could read together. She taught him to play piano on the dusty old upright in her living room. He stumbled through scales and melodies, his fingers awkward and unsure, but Eleanor never rushed him. The music, slowly, stitched something back together in him. Then winter arrived, hard and cruel. Eleanor's health began to falter. Mason noticed how she wheezed more, how she clutched her chest when laughing. He began checking on her every morning and night, bringing soup, calling ambulances when she refused to go to the hospital. "You're like the grandson I never had," she whispered once, her frail hand squeezing his. "You brought color back into my days." Then, one quiet February morning, she was gone. Mason sat in her living room, surrounded by the stillness, the piano keys untouched. It felt unreal, like she would shuffle in any moment offering cookies and stories of her youth. Weeks passed. Mason grieved quietly. Life returned to its noisy rhythm. But a few months later, a letter arrived at his home with ornate handwriting and a wax seal. It was from a law firm. Inside was a note from Eleanor, written in shaky pen. "Dear Mason, if you're reading this, I've likely moved on to wherever old souls go. You gave me something I never expected, friendship in my final chapter. I want to give you something in return. Enclosed, you'll find the deed to my house and all that is inside, including the piano you've breathed life into again. My lawyer will help you set up a scholarship fund I've left in your name, for young people chasing music, like you. The world can be cold, but you warmed mine. Keep playing. Keep believing. And remember, kindness ripples further than we can ever see. Love. Eleanor Winslow." Mason couldn't breathe for a moment. The tears came in waves, grief, gratitude, disbelief. A house. A scholarship fund. He stood up, grabbed his coat, and walked straight to her porch. The door creaked open like it was waiting for him. Dust swirled in the afternoon light as he crossed the threshold. And there, under a white sheet, was the piano. He uncovered it slowly, sat on the bench, and placed his fingers on the keys. The first note was soft. The second, steady. And soon, a melody, Eleanor's favorite, filled the room once more. That day, Mason decided to pursue music. He applied for college with Eleanor's letter in his backpack. He also founded a local program for lonely seniors, pairing them with teens for companionship and mutual growth. What started as a simple hello became a story of love, healing, and legacy. And so, the boy who once walked home feeling invisible became the spark that lit up a life, and in return, received a gift far greater than he could have imagined. Message: kindness costs nothing, but it can change everything.